2b, we have secant 480. So again, it's going to ask these three things on the actual test. Wants the exact value. Reference angle, this one they want you to express that in degrees, and we're also going to draw the angle in standard position. So since it's already in degrees, we don't need to convert anything. It's going to be easy to work with in degrees. We'll just keep it there. Anytime you have an angle that is more than 360 degrees, you actually want to keep subtracting 360 until you get an angle that is between 0 and 360, so that way we can draw that correctly and then go use that angle to answer these. Okay, so 480, we're going to first start by subtracting 360 degrees to find out how much we have left over. Okay, so we're going to do that. So 480 minus 360 is going to give you 120 degrees. Now we're going to use that. We're going to draw the angle here. Now 120 ends up in the second quadrant. So this is 90 here, and it's basically 30 degrees more than that. So 120, it'll put you right here. Now, as I mentioned in the first problem, if you just draw this, that is incorrect for the standard position, just like that. You want to show the spiral all the way around because the original angle was 480, and that's the one that you want to show here when you draw it in standard position. So you go around once to here, that would represent 360. You're going to keep on going, and then it's going to go around to there. So you have to do this spiral to show that it goes around once to 360 and it goes around again. That's the correct way to show 480 degrees. But now we'll use the 120, and the 120 is what we're going to use to answer the rest of these. So now I can change my problem into secant 120. So 120 is what we work with. The extra 360 doesn't matter because you'll still, if you go around once or go around, every time you keep going around 360, you're going to end up at the same angle. So that's why extra revolutions of 360 will not change your answers for the value and the reference angle. You want to make sure you show the three-step process. If it asks you to find this using reference angles, that means you want to use the procedure we talked about in the notes. So it's a three-step process, so make sure you show that. You need to do that this way on the test in order to get full credit. If you just answer these with no work shown, you're not going to get full credit. I'm going to take points off because I want to see the work that you're doing so you understand how this process works here. Okay, so the first step is to find the reference angle. Okay, so reference angle, we have to get the correct formula. So again, you want to make sure you have those reference angle formulas on your note card. And so in the second quadrant, that one will be 180 minus theta is the formula that you use if it's in the second quadrant. So we're going to do 180 minus 120. We get a reference angle of 60 degrees, and this says 60 degrees here. We don't have to change that to anything. So reference angle is 60 degrees. The second step would be to apply the reference angle to the trig function. Now in this particular problem, your trig function is secant. So we want to do secant 60 degrees. Okay, so secant 60, we need to apply an identity for this one. Secant is the same thing as 1 over cosine. So we're really doing 1 over cosine 60 from the unit circle. The value of cosine 60 is 1/2. So we're doing 1 divided by 1/2. When you flip and multiply, you get a value of 2. Okay, so that would be the exact value for secant 60 degrees. However, before you put that up here, we have to make sure we have the correct sign depending on which quadrant it's in, and that's what you're going to do for step 3. You're going to use the all students take calculus sign chart to tell whether it's positive or negative, so you want to make sure you know that for the final exam as well. All students, so in the second quadrant, S represents sign. Sign is positive, everything else should be negative. So in this case, cosine is going to be negative in the second quadrant, which means that my exact value, I'm going to do secant 480 degrees. I need to put a negative next to that, so I have -2, and that right there is going to be the exact value in this answer to this problem.